Hi everybody and welcome back to the channel. Bob here. Thanks so much for stopping by. So a few months back we had in a prototype watch from Swiss watch company. At the time they were just launching their Kickstarter campaign and that ended up being very successful for them. So fast forward to today, they now have the watches in stock and available on their site. SWC was nice enough to lend in one of their production models, and there's quite a few nice upgrades over the original prototype we'd looked at. So let's get into the watch. Alright guys, so SWC is owned by a father and son duo, Steven and Josh, and one thing that's a nice check mark for the brand is the experience of Steven in the watch industry. The company's now out of the US, but Steven was Swiss born and worked for Swatch Group for quite a few years in quality control. That experience, I think, really comes across with their watches, and they're quite confident in their product, giving the watches a 3-year warranty. Now, one of the differences I noticed right away over the prototype is the finish work. It really stands out, especially with the bracelet. The brushwork is very well done and just more refined versus the original one I had. They've upgraded the clasp over the prototype as well. It's made with some pretty heavy-duty milled steel, and with it being so long from here to here, that surface covers almost the entire underside of your wrist. Just wears really comfortably. The clasp here is signed, and the bracelet just has a cool look to me. So the watch itself is a bit of a bigger one, coming in at 44 millimeters. Lug to lug is 49.5 millimeters. The lug opening is 22 millimeters, and the thickness is about 13.5 millimeters. The crystal is sapphire with 5 coatings of AR. You can see that AR working against the studio lights. The water resist is a huge 300 meters, and the watch runs the Sellita SW200 movement. Now, there's a few different color options for the watch, but this particular one is a bit of a standout from the rest. The other colors all match the chaptering with the dial color, where this one has that contrasting orange. The second hand is also tipped with orange, and I like the pop of color, but there's a bit of a trade-off where the orange lume is a little weaker than the rest of the lume. If I'm not mistaken, they've changed the font size to a little smaller font with the Swiss watch company under the applied logo and automatic 30 ATM above the 6. It probably won't show up the greatest on camera, but there's a textured square within the dial. It's fairly muted on the black dialed version, but you'll see it at certain angles, and it gives the dial some visual interest. The lume they're using is very heavily applied. They're using 20 layers of Super Luminova, and does it ever show? Again, that orange lume on the second hand isn't very bright, but if that's a problem for you, the other models use the same lume formula on the second hands as the rest of the watch. The bezel is a 120 click bezel. It has that Seamaster style grips, which are sometimes harder to use, but the action isn't bad here at all. Turns easily but still feels precise. The insert is ceramic, and it has the markings which are slightly raised. Gives it a pretty neat look. The case, the same as the bracelet, is finished to a high quality. We have a nice little touch of polish work at the edge of the lugs there. The screw down crown is signed, and if we just open it up here, we'll take a look at the case back, and you can see that within the etched pattern there we have the company name and logo, as well as some of the specs on the watch around the perimeter. So let's get a quick look on wrist. And here it is on my 7.25 inch wrist. It's got a really nice feel on wrist, and I really like the orange accents. I think this is my favorite of the bunch, even with the weaker lume on that second hand. So the price on these is $450, and for a Swiss-made diver with the spec sheet this watch has, I think the pricing is totally fair. They've put together a very solid watch here. I really look forward to what they come out with next. So one thing to look out for on the channel in the next day or two is a giveaway. I have a couple of watches and some straps that are going to be up for grabs, so look out for that. Thanks so much for stopping by, and we'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.